So you write a book and then you get it professionally edited. And I strongly suggest that you get the book edited by a professional, and as many, as much editing as you can possibly get, if you can afford it, and find people to do it, because it is really worth it. You never can get the distance from your own work to really see it as your reader is going to see it, or as an editor who's trained to edit is going to see it and be able to help you make it the best book possible. So the different kinds of editing, because if you're looking for an editor, they'll want to know what kind of editing you want done. There's developmental editing, line editing, copy editing, and then proofreading. And you should at least have proofreading. If you don't have the time or the funds to do any other kind of editing, you really need to at least have it proofread to make sure that there aren't typos and spelling mistakes, because readers really don't like that. Then they won't want to buy your book, and they'll put it on Amazon. There are mistakes, and it will hurt your sales for sure. So what's a developmental edit? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. On the handout that I gave you, all the stuff is there, and you can find out. Maybe you already know this, but the developmental editing will help you with the genre, the pacing, the structure, overall. If it's a mystery, like, is it compelling? Is it suspenseful? Are the characters developed? So this is really the biggest picture, the big picture editing. It maybe even help you with plot if you're writing fiction, or help you with structure if you're not writing fiction. So give you some ideas of, actually be better if this character was the bad guy and this one was the protagonist, maybe or the voice. Maybe it would be better if a different character had the main voice. Anyway, they'll be able to tell you that kind of thing about the overall manuscript. The line edit looks at the lines. It is an edit at the sentence level. So it would help you make the most beautiful sentences that you could, and help the flow of the manuscript. And so this is, depending on the type of writing you do and how well you write already, or how confident you feel, you may want a line edit. If you can afford it and have the time and find someone. Copy edit is pretty important. So even if you don't do a developmental edit, or don't feel you need one, and you don't want to do a line edit, or don't feel you need one, a copy edit is very good, because it helps check for things like consistency, and also just sort of the facts. Like if you have someone driving from Wyoming to Chicago, and you say it takes 2 hours or whatever, the copy editor will check things like that to see how long does it really take. Or if it's historical, they might check some of, are you putting a cell phone into 1950 or whatever. Anyway, they'll check for accuracy on all kinds of levels, and consistency. And those of you who already have written novels probably know how easy it is to forget, like, what color eyes did that person have, or what is the timeline? I really am not good at keeping track of the timeline. What happened is, is it Friday? Or anyway, the copy editor can check all of those things and make sure that it's consistent throughout, and that there aren't any errors of facts or something like that. And then proofreading. Proofreading is just catching basically typos or spelling errors, but it is not a time to revise. Usually that type of editing, that editor is not really going to be helping you revise to make the manuscript better, except that there won't be any typos. So it's kind of essential that you do get someone at least to proofread the manuscript. Some of the options that I use or recommend, and there are lots of editors. My first thing is I recommend that you get someone who specializes in your genre. So if you write children's books, someone who specializes in editing children's books. If you're writing memoir, someone who specializes in editing memoir. The two editors I list here, especially Barb Goffman, specializes in editing mysteries, and especially cozies and some kids stuff, but she's not exactly kids editor. Lisa Walsh, who is here, can tell you more about her specializations, but she has, as she said, she edits a lot of my mysteries, and also herself writes memoirs, and she's edited scholarly academic stuff before. So Lisa, do you want to say anything here?
Sorry. No, I think that's got it. I've edited across different genres. I can't say, especially for a graphic novel. I think you would especially want to get someone that's a specialist in that. But I'm happy to work with you too and see where I can help you best and sort of what kind of editing you need. And if I can't help, I should be able to point you towards someone who's more adept at doing the kind of work you're doing. So, but proofreading, I can proofread anything. And I also agree, having typos is just a bad look. And it's almost impossible to catch your own typos. I'm a grammar nerd and I miss my own typos. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. So a couple of services that are kind of full service editorial options are ebook launch, and I've got their prices down here, and Dart Frog. And these are also on things I handed out, and they're in the chat. So I sent them out via email, and I also attached them to the chat. So if you open up the chat now, if you didn't get them, you can download them from the chat. And one of them is just an outline of the presentation. And the other handout has the links for everything that I'm mentioning here and more. In fact, the first link has resources that are really great resources, from editorial stuff to marketing to just good kind of blogs to follow about publishing and self-publishing. So really great. That first link has some really great resources. But you'll see like a link to ebook launch, you'll see a link to Dart Frog. And just to let you know, the only association I have with any of these things that I'm going to tell you about is Dart Frog, and only because I've used them before, and only because I know the owner, because I had them do a lot of things for me. And I said, I'm doing this seminar, and he said, oh, well, I can give your students a discount. So, that will give me some lunch money if you use them. So that's on the links too. So if you use the code Kelly Oliver, all one word, you'll get a 5% discount. But I do not have affiliation with anything else on this, and that's not what it's about, trying to sell you anything. So it's just trying to help you, find some resources, because there's so much stuff out there, and it's hard to know what is good and what isn't. And I tell you, I have learned a lot of this the hard way by throwing a lot of money at some very bad options and regretting it. So I want to tell you what I found that I think is the easiest to use, and give you some, kind of ideas about the least expensive way to do it and the easiest. And unfortunately, the easiest is never the least expensive. It's like, if you want to build something, the cheapest way is to go to Home Depot and get all the parts and build it yourself. But that's not the easiest way. The easiest way, right, is to hire a handyman or hire a contractor and have them build stuff for you. So there's a whole range with self-publishing too, how much you want to do yourself. You can do absolutely everything yourself. Or if you want to have some parts that you just don't want to deal with, have someone else kind of contract them out. So I'm going to give you a lot of different options, from doing everything yourself to some services that I think are reasonably priced and do good work, like Dart Frog. They actually have a service where they would publish everything for you. And there are several kind of companies that do that, but from my research and my experience, they are the least expensive. I have actually worked with another called Beaver Pond that I did the children's book with, and I love them. The people are great, and they do a great job, but it is expensive. So.